Welcome to part 2 of our hydrogen-focused coffee chat. In today's chat, let's explore how Saint-Gobain Tape Solutions works with customers and other business units to propel the hydrogen market forward. And in today's chat, we're once again featuring Eliot Hield-Ryder, who is our Business Development Manager for Europe, and Maggie Ezell, who's our Business Development Manager for North America. Welcome, Maggie and Eliot. As a starting point, can one of you explain where each product from the Norgard portfolio can fit into specific steps in the hydrogen value chain?
The membrane electrode assembly process, it starts from our end users choosing whatever their key materials they're using for their catalyst. And we find everyone has their own formulation, which is great. So they're going to take those materials, they're going to stir them, dispense them onto a coating process. And we're in that coating process is where you're going to use our materials, whether it's a PFA, ETFE, PTFE, as a coating release belt. So you would dispense that CCM material on there. It's going to go through a drying process with the membrane, and then we'll see the end users cut that membrane out. Now you have your catalyst coated membrane. We don't supply the membrane, but we'll supply the release liner for coating onto it. Then they assemble it with different gaskets and sub-gaskets. Again, that's where our materials are great. You'll see ETFEs, PTFE material being used there, maybe even polyimide materials, which we do as well. And they'll stack those up, and then it goes into a hot press. And in that hot press, there's our compression pad material can be used to help as a protective layer between the platens and the membrane electrode assembly itself. Press the whole thing together, bring it out, remove it from the process, and remove any release liners that were on there. And then you'll have your membrane electrode assembly with essentially, hopefully, our gasketing material surrounding it with the catalyst coated membrane in the middle of it.
Yeah, I think I'd add to that as well, is that what we find with this process is that the actual key materials within the catalyst coated membrane, which if you like is to the point we get to sort of halfway through this process whilst we're drying, vary a lot from customer to customer, because this is the brain within your fuel cell or electrolyzer. It's got the anode and cathode within there, which is creating the electrolysis or using the hydrogen and breaking it down and using it. So customers are very protective of that. You know, it's normally materials like platinum, iridium that are going into there, and some kind of carbon support maybe. So we are very unlikely at that point, it has to be said, to know what that is exactly. What we need from our customers is to ensure that we're helping them through that process, and they give us enough information to be able to support them appropriately, because what they actually use and how they do it, that is their business. That is it's intellectual property. That's not what we're interested in. We're interested in making sure that this works for them and that we can assist them through that process. So, you know, it's always good to have a good understanding, but generally this is a very not secretive, but it's a very important part of what our customers are making. So we have to, we have to respect that. That's the part of the business, really.
That's a really great point, Eliot, and I think that it helps to highlight and explain why we see for someone a Skive PTFE is a great product for what they're using for their formulation, and for someone else ETFE is a great product, or PFA. And it's all about whether it's compatible or not, and having that relationship with the customer to help us define what compatibility means to them is really important. And that's where Saint-Gobain really shines in that customized product that it works specifically for what it is that you're doing. We don't just have a single product we say will work for everything. We know that specialized formulation especially needs a product that's compatible with it, specifically designed there, rather than just one single item. Right.
Thank you, Maggie. And based on your experience, can you explain the role that collaboration with customers and OEMs plays in specific product development?
Absolutely. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning. When we're working with our customers specifically, the more we see what they're working on in their process and their design, it's better for us to be able to talk about what's the right thickness or even the right material. So Eliot mentioned PTFE. It's a great gasketing material. We also find customers are having good success with ETFE for a gasketing material. And again, that's where it's specific design to whatever your process is or whatever your end product is going to be. The more we're able to work with customers, the better off we can identify, is PTFE the right material? Is ETFE the right material? Or are we going to get a surprise somewhere in there and might find that someone might want something for a silicone? Not that we've had that, but we could have that surprise happen. We also find partnering with the research institutes who can help us to understand how our materials perform and why they might be a good fit that we can then recommend to a customer. So it's a balance between knowing when we can recommend a product to a customer, as well as when a customer is looking for us to custom design something for them. And those two things are very valuable for both us and the customer as we look to help them make their process more efficient or make their products last longer or perform better. So, the closer we are in that relationship to them, the better off we're both going to be at the end of the day, I think.
And now, can one of you elaborate on how Saint-Gobain ensures that materials meet the evolving standards and certifications that are required in the hydrogen market?
Saint-Gobain would not exist as a technical organisation if we did not follow all the different standards that are thrown at us. We have a lot of experience from the aerospace industry. We have a lot of experience from the car manufacturing world. So we are used to working at the very highest levels of standards. And therefore, when hydrogen electrolyzer or fuel cell manufacturers come to us, I think the challenge is more getting the information from customers rather than saying, can we actually help you? It's more, well, we know we can probably help you. It's about getting the detail and ensuring that we're finalizing everything, because we don't want to go all the way down a project and then realize, oh, actually, we didn't get that little piece of information, which is super important. So we try and build back up, and at this stage we open that conversation. We believe we're speaking to the right people. We're normally talking to engineers. We include procurement in those conversations so they can have an early understanding of what things might or might not look like in terms of cost, which gives people an indication. It allows them then to go away and validate and say, well, yes, it is affordable, that's something we do want, or no, this material is perhaps too expensive for them, or it's not the right material for them. That's, we have to live with that. We're very open to that. We don't just need to grab at every opportunity. What we want to do is get the right solution. And I would say that is a real backbone of Saint-Gobain.
I agree with you, Eliot, on that. It's important for us not to just sell a product, not to just, get us a sale and have something out there for that. It's very valuable for us, and it's important for us as part of our culture and who we are, that we sell you the right product and it's the right thing for you. And that as you continue to evolve, our products can evolve with you, and we continue to work with you in that process. So I think that's a really important core value for us to highlight, that not just about selling a product, about getting the right material, the right product in there for you.
Yeah. And I think, just moving on from what you said there, something that's very evident with this. We have huge targets to meet for 2030, 2040, 2050 in terms of stopping the global warming issue that we're facing. It's 32 degrees here in the UK today. That's ridiculous. But so it's a bit like your telephone that evolved from a brick, but the following year it becomes a smartphone. The following year after that, it's a smartphone where we're chatting to each other face to face. And this is the same thing that's happening in hydrogen. One of the big issues as well is not just creating the hydrogen, it's then storing the hydrogen, moving the hydrogen. And there's a lot of other components that go in and around that. It's a highly, it's a dangerous material, hydrogen. You have to treat it very well. So it's important that all those other aspects join together. You can't just have one company doing a highly technical job. There has to be everybody along the chain doing the same thing.
That's a really good point. It's all about that consistency along that chain and being respectful of the fact that this material needs to be, we have to respect that it is dangerous and it has to be well managed. And I think our materials can definitely help and play a role in that. For recently here within North America, we've had a couple of good success stories with materials going to customers and being qualified, and so we know that they're going to be in there. We have a customer who's buying now our skived PTFE out of Hoosick Falls, and that material is going in there for their decal processing. But what's kind of interesting about that one is the customer specifically asked us to do something a little bit different in the roll design and the roll put up. So rather than just selling them a roll of PTFE, they asked for a tail on the material so that they can use it in a roll-to-roll processing. So going from making MEAs by hand and individually stacking them, they're now moving to their industrialization process with a roll-to-roll manufacturing. So they asked us if we would customize that for them, and we did, and we're seeing very good success with that product there. And then we've also had our customer another customer recently qualified our ETFE as a gasket material for them, and they're using PFA material as a release material for them. So it's an interesting difference between the two companies. They're doing very similar things, but because of their own internal design and their own internal processes, one's using PFA for the decal release and one is using PTFE for the decal release. But we're both excited about those products because it's nice to be able to provide them something that's specific to what they're doing. And it's not just a one solution product that we try to fit for everybody. We're trying to really customize it specifically to their needs there. What about you in Europe?
Well, likewise, I'd say one of our biggest customers, again, uses Skive PTFE, but in a different way. So you've used it potentially in the decal process. We've used it as a very consistent part of a gasketing project. And, several tons of this are expected and have been sold and are expected to be sold in the future, and growing still. And when you think of tons of material, that's a lot of gaskets. So these are all going in there because they, it's the chemical compatibility, the lifetime assurance. You want these fuel cells to last many years. The capability to withstand any compression set over that time. It's important that these products are maintained for a long time because, again, it's an expensive item, a fuel cell. You're not going to go and replace it quickly. It needs to be out there for 20 years, maybe longer. I come from the solar industry as well, and we see that there. Everything's got to last as long as possible, and we don't want to see, we don't want to see things ending up in landfill. We want it to be reused again. We want to see things being used for as long as possible. So sustainably, we want to see these products go out, be used 20, 30 years later, they're still in use, or with very minor modifications.
Yeah, and I think the longevity part of it is important. I think the other thing that's nice about some of our materials that we can talk about a little bit is for some of them, PTFE isn't one of them, unfortunately, just by the nature of the material. It can't really be recycled or recombined. But for some of our materials, if you're die cutting out of them, there's a lot of waste associated with that process. We can talk about how those products, that waste product that you have left from that process, can be taken back and reused. So there are other places where we're trying to not just have a single sell the product into the market, but look for places where we can work with the market to have some circularity around those products where it's possible. So we can continue to be as make the life cycle of these products as long as possible, and we can have that process there. So we want to work with customers who are interested in that, in taking back those products that can be recombined or reused where we possibly can.
And to elaborate more on that concept, what is Saint-Gobain doing now to enhance sustainability through reuse, recycling, and reduction of waste?
So in North America, we have a very large program around this for things, and specifically for fluoropolymers that can be recycled or reused or broken back down into components that we can then reprocess. We do have a couple here in North America, so if our customers are interested in talking about that with us, we can absolutely work with you to set up some sort of process for the couple of companies in North America that we have a very good relationship with right now. I don't know, Eliot, what you guys have in Europe right now.
I'm not the process engineer. I'm pretty confident we actually take that waste and we manage to get it into a regrinder somewhere who can do that for us, so that we can then reuse it. It might come out as a slightly different grade, but in effect, we're trying to get that circularity, like you said before. The life cycle analysis is a huge, huge topic within Saint-Gobain. We are, the leaders in, I guess, the company as a whole. We are leaders in sustainable construction, and the hydrogen industry is going to go into that in the future, because we'll see hydrogen featuring more and more, as backups for hospitals in terms of their energy, should they go down, or into large buildings. We are going to see this. We're going to see it in lorries, where you can travel a lot further than you can on diesel. It's going to change certain parts of our society, bit by bit by bit, until it becomes much more common.
Thank you. And before we conclude today, could you elaborate more on how Saint-Gobain collaborates across multiple business units to help propel the hydrogen market forward?
I can talk about cross collaboration because I actually had a meeting with a different business unit this morning, and so I can tell you from Benoit Bazin, who is the CEO of the whole organization, in charge of 120,000 people. We are determined to get better cross collaboration. That is something that is happening. Our business has just changed its model internally so that we can all work together and better. And we have that ability to draw on other people's knowledge, so that I think one of the things I mentioned earlier was that one of the areas that we definitely are going to have with this is you might have the usage of hydrogen, and so converting water to hydrogen, then using the hydrogen, but you've also got to store that hydrogen. So a classic case within Saint-Gobain is we would need to use, or the people who are storing that hydrogen are going to, because you have to compress it, is you need Saint-Gobain seals. And so the OmniSeal part of our business is going to be involved in hydrogen in that way. There's other parts of the business, I believe, are looking at actual collaborations with businesses outside of Saint-Gobain in terms of what they might be able to bring to us as well. So it's not just what we can do, it's people and companies that we can work with as well to be able to provide better solutions to our customers.
Yeah, I agree. We're finding within Saint-Gobain a real push to have our businesses collaborate and work together. We have what I call our hydrogen HPS group. So crossing all the business units, we regularly meet together every couple of months to talk about trends that we're seeing, share leads, share opportunities to connect with customers. At the Hydrogen Technology Expo recently, last week, the OmniSeals group had a booth, a small one there, and I joined them there for a little bit. We also had some colleagues from the Life Sciences group that came down and walked the show, and then, talked about with the OmniSeals guys, and we talked about it with future customers. I've joined in on customer calls recently with some ceramics groups to some new hydrogen lead opportunities as well. And, we do try, and we hope that this continues to happen across our businesses, where when we are talking and we see opportunities that might be better for another business unit, we try to make sure we share that with our colleagues there as well. So we bring each other to meetings when we can. We also share leads and those opportunities with them and say, hey, I think this one's a good fit for your business. You guys want to go talk there? And that has been very valuable for us, I think, moving forward across Saint-Gobain. And it's something we need to continue doing more of. We've definitely seen some activity with customers where someone else had a good contact that we didn't necessarily have, and they're able to share it with us, and then we can spread our business units across and find those applications that really fit for everybody. And it's important that Saint-Gobain continues doing that, because the same thing that we've talked about here today about collaboration and working with our customers and customizing is true across all of our business units. This isn't just something that's specific to Tape Solutions. It's true everywhere. So if we can find places where we can all work together, it's just going to benefit everybody at the end of the day.
Thank you, Maggie and Eliot, and thanks for watching.